had 1 through 6. We did number 4 together. But any others that I need to work there that you didn't understand for any reason or you're getting questions about, don't be shy, don't be scared. Yes. 5. Number 5, y equals, so if you will correct your work as we go, make sure you get it right. If you didn't look back at why or how or what happened, that way you don't make that mistake again. All right, so first thing I need to do is let's identify A, B, and C. What's A? 1/4 was B. Let's see. Tell me what you know. Up or down? Up. Skinny, wide, average. Wide. Why is it wide? It's a fraction. It's less than 1. That's exactly right. Y-intercept. -6. All right, let's go with the vertex. Vertex is, I'm going to do the X part first, which is also going to give me the what? Axis of symmetry. That's right. So opposite B over 2A. So that would be -1 over. Oh, I know why y'all didn't like this one. All right, what's 1/4 times 2? 1/2. We don't divide by fractions. Instead, we do what? By what? The reciprocal. There you go. All together, we'll eventually get there. Never divide by a fraction. You will probably hear me say that a gajillion times in here. Never divide by a fraction. Instead, multiply by a reciprocal. We don't do a lot with decimals in here. We keep them with fractions so that they're exact. That gets you ready for pre-cal next year. And then ready for calculus. So we keep it as -1 times, and then I'm going to flip that bottom 2 over 1, which becomes -2. Yeah, you'll still get the right answer. It's just if it was 1/3, it would be a rounding thing, and you wouldn't get. It'd be a little bit off. Y'all okay? No. Anytime you divide by a fraction, yes. Instead of dividing by a fraction, you always multiply by the reciprocal. You flip it. Where you went wrong. Now, if you put it on your calculator, if you took out your calculator, and let me just take just a minute to show y'all this because, take out your calculators for just a second. What is wrong? Or anything. How do I put a fraction in my calculator? Parentheses, always parentheses. If I want to put a half in, I'm going to do a parentheses, 1 divided by 2, and then close the parentheses. That's a half, right? Where did it go? If I want to go from a decimal to a fraction, do you know how to do that? Math, enter, enter. So if I end up with a decimal and I go, well, wait, I need a fraction, hit the button that says math, hit enter, and then enter again, and it will convert it back to a fraction for you. Okay? So now, let's look at this one that we just did. This is a simple example, but if I want to do -1 divided by a half, I'm going to do math, enter, enter. I'm going to do -1 divided by, and then I'm going to put that 1/2 in parentheses because it's in the bottom. So divided by parentheses 1 divided by 2. And hit enter. Y'all okay? So even if you get confused on multiplying by the reciprocal and so on and so forth, your calculator will do it all for you. And then if you get a decimal, it'll also put it back into a fraction for you. Y'all okay? Okay, let's finish this problem. All right, so my axis of symmetry is at -2. How do I find where on this axis it is? What do I do? Plug it into. Right, so y equals 1/4 times. Now, I'm going to show you. Do y'all like the calculator? Do you like little calculator tricks? Let me show you something cool. Yes, Miss McKee, we'd love for you to show something cool. Okay, guys, I would need you to show at least this. I would need you to show me that you know that you plug it in. But past that, take out your calculator. What did I say my x was? -2. If you hit -2, -2, and then you have this button right under ln, it says STO. You see that? Everybody see that? You hit that button that says store, okay? And then I'm gonna hit the button that says X, and then hit enter. So, right beside the one, right below ln. Oh, the variable button, X, right by alpha. Everybody with me? So what this does is now every time I type X on my calculator, it reads it as -2. What's 2x? Well, 2 times x should be what? -4. How about x squared? X squared. Now, why is this helpful? Well, look at what you're fixing to have to do. You've got 1/4 times -2 squared. Well, what if I store this as x and then in my calculator I just type 1/4 x squared plus x minus 6? Right? Are y'all following me, or is this no bueno? No? Yeah. It depends. Hold on, and I'll tell you. I'll get to that. Let me finish on this one. All right. So if you went through this way, if you like the stow is something that we focus a lot on in pre-cal and calculus as a time saver method when you have your calculator. If you like it, great. If you're savvy with the calculator, if not, you can definitely work that by hand. I got -7. If I go through and do this by hand, I get 1/4 times -2 squared is 4. -2 minus 6. 1/4 times 4 is 1. And if you add all these together, you get -7. So just save me a little bit of time and a little bit of work there. All right, so this was my vertex, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, Bella's question, how do I know about the easy point or the other point to use? What am I going to do? How do I know what to use? So my advice is, if you can, use the y-intercept. It's always the easiest point to use. And in this case, I could use the y-intercept. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The only time you can't use the y-intercept is when? When the vertex is the y-intercept. Then you can't use the easy point as the y-intercept. But in this case, 9 times out of 10, you can. And now I just reflect 1, 2, 1, 2, and connect. What's negative? A is what tells you. If A is positive, it's up. If A is negative, it's down. C is your y-intercept. It is wide. That looks good. Y-intercept's good. Everything checks, so I know I'm good to go. That I couldn't have used the y-intercept, okay? I would look at the vertex. The vertex here is -2. And I'd say, okay, well, what's 1 beside -2? -1. So I might say, well, my easy point's going to be x equals -1. And again, I go back to that equation and I plug in 1/4 times -1 squared plus -1 minus 6. And if I'm good with my stow function on my calculator, I can just type it in at this point. Or 1/4 minus 1 minus 6. What do you get? -6 3/4? So that would be -1, -6 3/4, which would end up being right here. Then you'd reflect that one and connect it. Just different points is whatever point you want to use. What else on your homework? Yes. Which one? 6? Y equals 2x squared minus, you know what, I might as well, no, I'll hold on. Y'all didn't handle stow very well. I'll show you how to graph them on your calculator later. 2x squared minus 2x minus 5. A is what? B. C. Tell me what you know. Up or down? Up. Skinny wide average. Skinny y. Bigger than 1. Y-intercept. -5. Let's find the vertex. X equals, which is going to give me my, what? Not just the vertex, but also the axis of symmetry. That's exactly right. Opposite B over 2A. B is already negative, so I'm going to make it positive over 2 times 2. 2 over 4 is 1/2. Here's where my calculator, if this was me, I would definitely use the stow to find the other half because I don't want to deal with this fraction this much. If you like it, go for it. Go ahead and put mine. Here's 1/2. For this one, I am going to go back 1/2. I'm going to do 1/2, and I'm going to store that as x. And now all I'm going to do is type that initial equation. What was that equation? 2x squared, 2, here's your x squared, minus 2x minus 5, and hit enter. A lot quicker probably than if you did it by hand, right? A lot more accurate also. If I need it to be a fraction, what do I do? Does that make sense? Thank you. -5.5. -5.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. Easy point. Can I use the y-intercept? Yes, I can use the y-intercept because the vertex is not the y-intercept. So I'm going to plot it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, reflect, and connect. Well, that's because I'm drew mine by hand. My 1/2 is a bit off.
For number 5,
No, it doesn't matter. That's going to have to do with that A in front, and if it's skinny or it's wide. This one was 1/2. That one should be more than 1 because it's wider. Yes, it doesn't matter. Other questions? Everybody okay? Yes, no, maybe so? Yeah. Y'all need a break? Y'all need to stand up a second or something? Look in your eyes. Tired? I'd be tired too if I tried to do my homework at midnight.
do it all.
Just push through everything. That way you can do your homework so you don't have it over the weekend. Let's at least do one form real quick. All right. We have 2 more forms to learn today. Yesterday's was the hardest. Yes, Charlie. We what? Yeah, y'all stay with me. There's not one today. They hadn't had time to make one in 2 days. Well, why don't you take WDOG? I'm sure Miss Brennan would love to have you. It's what? But he didn't say it like that. It would hurt his GPA. All right, let's graph in. Should we do intercept or vertex first? Vertex is easier. Intercept first? Nah. Yeah. Let's just do them both at the same time. I don't know that vertex kind of follows from standard. I'm gonna do vertex first. All right. Here's the very cool thing about vertex form. When you're graphing, let's rewind back to standard form. The first thing you do when you're in standard form is find what? The vertex. Would you agree that that's the hardest part? Because you got to do opposite b over 2a, then you got to plug back in. It's a lot of work, right? Vertex form gives us the vertex. Now, it does not give us the y-intercept, but it gives us the vertex. So it's a little bit easier to work with. It's a little bit less work. So let me show you what it looks like, and then we'll talk about what it does and how we graph. All right, a times x minus h plus k. I've got some of the same variables, and now I've got some new variables introduced here. Remember, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c, right? You've done this before? Have y'all really? Okay, if you did transformations, this is kind of the transform form, the left, right, up, down, stretch, shrink form. Well, nice. Okay. A still does the same thing. A is exactly the same as it was in standard form. It still tells me if it's positive, then I'm up. If it's negative, then I'm down. Tell me what else A tells you. Excuse me, skinny or wide, that's exactly right. So as the absolute value of A gets smaller, then that makes it be wider. And if it's between 0 and 1, no, I got that backwards, didn't I? Wait, don't write that yet. This is greater. This is greater. This is skinnier. This is wide. Sorry. Why you should always write in pencil. All right. Like, I don't care how your notes are, for sure. If the absolute value, the bigger A gets, the skinnier the graph gets. The smaller A gets, the wider the graph gets. And now I have this H and this K in here. So what do they do? If you remember transformations, if you add or subtract the H, that's your horizontal shift. That's your left and right. Your number on the end, what does it do to the graph? Do you remember? Somebody please get this because they got it last semester. This is right, but you're not saying it right. What does it do, though? What does this do from the parent graph? Nobody. It does, but how? If this moves it left and right, up or down, it's a vertical move. This is a horizontal move. This is a vertical. You've got the horizontal move and the vertical move. We We will do a whole unit on transformation, so do not stress if you don't. It's okay. Right now, all you need to know is H and K together make up your vertex. But because in this formula that I'm giving you, it's X minus H, I'm going to take the opposite sign of H and I'm going to do the same sign of K. Notice I don't have a y-intercept that's just given to me, but I have this nice vertex that is just given. All right, let's look at a couple and see if you can pull the vertex out of it. What happens, by the way, if they're missing? What are they? Zero. Zeros. And the same, okay. Tell me what you know. Up or down? Up, because it's positive. Skinny wide. Wide because it's a half. What is the vertex? There you go. Is the opposite of H the same of K? A lot easier than opposite B over 2A plug back in, right? So the number in parentheses is your H. That's the X part of the vertex. The number on the outside is your K. That's the Y part of your vertex. You literally just pop them out of the equation. If it's in vertex form, yes. So once we get all three forms and we practice this, then on Monday what we'll do is we'll practice mixing all the forms up and being able to graph in any form. How about oh, I don't want to do 5. Up or down? Down. Skinny, wide, or average? Ooh, nice. What's the vertex? There you go. Okay, smarty pants. Up or down? Skinny, wide, or average? Okay. 8-0. 8-0. Why is it 0? There's nothing there. Y'all okay? How could I get this back in standard form, or could I get it back in standard form? It's already factored. You're gonna have to FOIL. Good job. Good job. This I would have to get this back in standard form. Standard. I would have to do x minus 8 times x minus 8. And I showed you that because you never, 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 Lynn, never can you distribute this through there. You never do that. You have to write it twice because exponents mean we write it twice. It says multiply it twice. How do you FOIL? What does FOIL mean? I'm not a big fan of the word FOIL. I like distribute better because FOIL only works whenever both of them have 2 terms, and we will get to ones that have more than 2 terms in them, but that is a little bit for a little later. But we take the first term, and it has to multiply to everything in the second set of parentheses. So what is x times x? X squared. What is x times negative 8? Mm-hmm. What is, I'm done with this one now, right? Because it's already multiplied to everything in this parentheses. Now I take the negative 8. What's negative 8 times x? What is negative 8 times negative 8? 64. Now gather up your like terms, and you end up with x squared. You tell me. So now these are the same. Now what's the y-intercept? 64. So each form has its own little things that tell you beneficial information without doing any work. Vertex is my favorite. Y'all okay? Y'all ready to graph? Before we do, what would happen if there was a number in front here, like if there was an A there? Or better yet, let's see if you can do this. This is kind of a review from, put that one in standard form. And then we'll graph. Still get it? This one was hard, wasn't it? Tell me what you did first, if you started it. Or everybody started. Nope. Ooh. Oof. Why can I not distribute before? Why can I not do that first? Anybody? Okay, why? Why do you have to do that first? How do you know you have to do that first? It's the order of operations. Order of operations tell us parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. This is multiplying if I distribute. There's an exponent here. I need to do that first, right? So what I'm going to have to do is write this as 1/2 times x plus 1 times x plus 1 minus 5. Now I'm going to multiply. Now if you wanted to distribute the 1/2 through, you could, but you can only take it to one of them. You can't take it to everything. Okay? When you multiply, you only multiply two things at a time. You never multiply more than two. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to focus on this first because that fraction looks a little out there, right? So I'm going to do 1/2 times, and I'm going to FOIL this out. What's x times x? X times 1. 1 times x. 1 times 1. What am I doing about this 5 out here? In the end, but not yet. I'm just going to, that's exactly right. I'm going to keep bringing it down with me because I haven't gotten to addition subtraction yet. Okay. Right now I'm going to work inside these parentheses. X squared plus 2x plus 1. Now I can move on to multiplication division. Now I can distribute that 1/2 safely. 1/2 x squared. What's a half times 2? 1. You don't have to put the 1 in front if I did. A half times 1? A half, right? Minus 5. Combine those two, and I'm probably going to take out my calculator if I'm not good with this and go 1/2 minus 5. Math, enter. Negative 9 over 2. Everybody okay? All right, let's graph. How many of y'all got that one right? Nobody? Nobody multiplied it out right? Oh dear, did everybody distribute the 1/2 first? Oh man, you didn't. All right, let's graph and now we'll do the little bit easier stuff. That was a tough one. Y'all like the steps or no? You like the steps with the example beside it like yesterday? Or not? Okay. It doesn't matter. Logan just wants to do it and be done with it. Graph. All of the lessons are not as long as these graphing lessons, I promise, but these graphing lessons are brutal. Graph and vertex form. We're going to do steps. Example. Vertex form looks like this. I'm going to start this going away. I'm going around because this takes one I'm passing the pass because I'm going to use the example on the back to graph. Since y'all like this. Yeah. Most important point right now, which y'all probably know, is the vertex. So my first step is going to be plot the vertex. I don't really have to find it here because it's already found for me because it's in vertex form. It is, remember, HK. H is opposite. K is same. So for my example over here, what is my vertex? Negative 2, 5. And while I'm over here, am I up or down? I am down. Am I skinny or wide or average? Wide because it's 1/2. What's my y-intercept? Ooh, gotcha. You don't know the y-intercept yet. Unless you plug in a 0 for x. Negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is also my axis of symmetry. Down, thank you. Bye. Television downstairs office. All right. Now I'm going to do my easy point. And here's where hopefully easy point will start to make a little more sense to you. Because I don't have the y-intercept, I'm going to have to choose an easy point to use to plug in. So if I'm starting at negative 2, what do you think a good easy point to use would be? Negative 1. That's what I would do too. So I'm going to put a note here that says stay close to the vertex. The x of the vertex, yeah. So I'll put h here because h is the. Yes, sir. Yes. Yes. Now, just like before, when I have an x and I need a y, what do? I plug it in. That's exactly right. So y equals negative 1/2 times negative 1 plus 2 squared plus 5. Order of operations, parentheses first, then exponents, then multiply. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. Negative 1/2 times 1 is, and negative 1/2 plus 5. I'll do a decimal for y'all since y'all like them. 4.5. That's the most work you will do with vertex form. Negative 1, 4.5. What do you think the last step is going to be? Reflect and connect. Always reflect and connect. Well, not always, not in intercept form. Reflect. So if you can graph in standard form, you should have no problem graphing in intercept form. I mean, in vertex form, because it should be a lot easier for you. Yes, no, maybe so. Try the example on the page, and we'll do it together. Yep. Also, my axis of symmetry. What easy point did you use? What x did you use? 2 or 4, either one should give you the same value because they're both the same distance away from the the vertex there. 4 might have been a little bit easier to use just because you wouldn't have gotten a negative, but it'll give you the same thing because when you square negative 1, what happens? Positive. So you get 2 minus 2, which is 0. If you plugged in 4, you should get 0. Either way, you get 0. So 2, 0, or 4, 0. And now all left to do is to reflect and connect. Wait. So to get the, like, where, like, there it is, like, okay, so like you did 2, like move over 2, and then you stayed on there to get like. Yes, because this point, okay, so 2, 0, right? You understand this is the vertex. Okay, so then 2, 0, I just plotted 2, 0, and because I knew this was the vertex, I also know that's the axis of symmetry going through. So then I just reflected over that line to get the other point. Correct. Did you? So don't square it first, subtract them first. Do inside the parentheses first and then square it. Other questions about that one? All right, you should have already gotten the next paper, which was intercept form. All right. I don't think I saved myself. Are there any extras of those? Where did they end up? All right. The name gives it away. What do you think we're finding? Intercepts. Not the y-intercept. The only thing that has intercepts would be x, right? And we talked about that. Somebody said that in here on the first day about possibly having 2 x-intercepts, and that's absolutely correct. So intercept form, what does it look like? It is the most different of all the forms. Has the least in common with the others. But it gives us the x-intercepts. X-intercepts, of course, are places where it crosses the x-axis. All right. One thing that's in all 3 forms is still here. A. Same thing. Same variable, same thing. Up, down, skinny, y. Okay? I'm not going to rewrite everything again. I'm just going to put up, down, skinny, y. Now, the intercepts. Here's where it gets a little bit confusing. X equals P and X equals Q, but because these signs are minus here, these are both opposite signs. These are my intercepts. It is where the parabola crosses the x-axis. So, for example, in the green equation here, where would my parabola cross the x-axis? +1 and -5. Whatever else it does, that's where it crosses the x-axis. It should open up, it should be kind of wide, but that's where it crosses the x-axis. So as I look at this equation, what am I going to be missing for my graph? The vertex. That's exactly right. I'm missing the vertex. So I'm going to have to work a little backwards in this form to get back to the vertex. Every other one I've started with the vertex and then gone, reflect and connect and everything else. This one, I've already got the reflection points and now I need the vertex. But the nice thing is, parabolas are what? Starts with an S. Symmetric. So if I've got 2 points on the same line, then I could easily find the axis of symmetry. Do you agree? And the axis of symmetry is also the x part of the vertex. That's right. All right, so let's pull this all together. Before I do, how do you find in the middle of 2 points? If I've got -5 and I've got 1, how do you find the middle of those two without counting? What if it was like fractions? What would you do? What can you do to find the middle? Or the midpoint? How do you find the midpoint? Think geometry. You're exactly right. Good job. To find the middle, we add them and divide by 2. That will give me exactly in the middle. Nice work. That is the midpoint formula. Okay. -5 plus 1 is? Close. Wait, hold on. Oh, wait, -4. A -4 divided by 2. Is that the middle? Say yes, because it is. Yeah. Yes. Yes, the opposite. Yeah. All right. Let's do it. I'm almost done, I promise. Graph. Well, that was finding the middle, and once I have the middle, but I'm gonna walk you through the steps to graph it. I was just kind of giving you some pieces, so whenever I show it to you here, it's not all brand new. Steps. This is the form that you will most easily go whenever we get to a little bit later in the chapter. The form you'll go from standard form to get to this form the easiest, but I think I will do. I'll give you just a second. Last one, I promise. Sorry. It's just because I ran those extra pages of notes for y'all. All right, first thing, I'm going to find and plot the x-intercepts. Remember, these are P and Q, but they are opposite signs. told you it was going to be a lot of handouts. You'll need a 3-ring binder or something to keep up with them. What are my x-intercepts for this particular problem? -3 and 1. So let's go ahead and get those plotted here. You do the opposite signs. Any guesses on what we might do next? What part of the vertex? The x part of the vertex, which is also the what? Axis of symmetry. That's right. So I'm going to say find the axis of symmetry. Which is also the x part of the vertex. How do I find that? Bless you. What do I do? How do I find it? How do I find the axis of symmetry? Still opposite signs here. Okay, these are still the opposite signs. Am I going too fast? A little bit? Sure? Okay. So I get -3 plus 1 divided by 2. Still opposite signs. Charlie, you look like you're fixing to fall asleep. Too much night fishing? -1. I'm going to go ahead and put my axis of symmetry on here, and now I bet you can guess what I do next. What do you always do when you have the axis of symmetry and you need to know where? How do you find the vertex? Plug it in. That's right. Plug in to find y. What am I plugging in? -1. That's right. So 2 times -1 plus 3 times -1 minus 1. Oh, yep. Parentheses first. 2, -2. What do you get? What's 2 times 2 times -2? There you go. Which one do you like the best? This one? Vertex? Everybody like standard best? All right. I'm not going to do that last example with you. I think I've talked enough. I think some of you are like zombified. But if you look, it doesn't look like it's in intercept form, but really it is. What's missing? Something's missing there. I got -2x, x minus 1. Parenthesis, right? That p, that first one. So since it's not there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say x plus 0, x minus 1. So one of my intercepts is 0 and one of them is 1. And that's all that happens. If it's missing, that's what it looks like when it's missing. All right, so for your homework,